At this time, I'd like to thank our sponsor for today's program. We're recognizing Xcel Energy. Thank you, Andrea, for you and your team. So Xcel Energy, building Wisconsin's energy future, and some things that you may not know about them. They're leading the clean energy transition with 8 new Midwest wind farms in the works, Wisconsin's largest community solar garden program, 2 biomass plants, and 19 hydro dams in 8 Wisconsin rivers. We're creating a greener, more affordable, and sustainable energy future. They are also powering the economy through ongoing investment in their infrastructure, the plants, pipes, poles, and wires that make up our business. They generate tax revenue, purchase goods and services, and employ local workers. And we work to keep customers' electric and natural gas bills below the national average. I'm very thankful for that, Andrea. Thank you, especially as we get into the colder season. And they are very good about giving back to their communities. They go above and beyond in supporting over 500 Wisconsin communities and helping them thrive. Their employees understand the importance of giving back where they live and work, and each year we contribute millions of dollars to keeping Wisconsinites and their communities strong. And that is true. They are a strong supporter of the Hudson Chamber, and I know a lot of our partner chambers in the St. Croix Valley. So a round of applause for Xcel Energy for sponsoring today. Thank you.
You're very welcome, and thanks for all you do for our communities as well.
Appreciate that. So we have a couple announcements before I introduce the Chancellor, but Maddie, if you want to hold, we are doing a drawing at the end of the meeting today. Maddie will do a random drawing, and thank you to Leanne. We have great UWRF swag. So we love that. We thank you, Beth and Leanne, and all that went into getting that put together for us. So I know an alum person will love that. Anyone will love it who wins that. We do have a couple of events that I just want to make you aware of on November 5th at 9 a.m. We will do a Simply Connect. It'll be our Chamber Master program. Chamber Master is a database that you as members can provide and put information to with your logo, put information about your company and so forth. So when people are looking for goods and services, they go to the Chamber website, they can find all the information about you on there. So that'll be November 5th at 9 a.m. And then we are doing a Simply Connect for the holidays. Again, disappointing we can't be in person, but I invite you to bring that glass of wine or your favorite beer or cocktail and join us on December 3rd at 4:30 for that. And then we're also working on a number of different things. We know for everyone that events are looking different. So we are trying to go all out for decorating Hudson and the Hudson community to look phenomenal during the holidays. We know that if you can't gather, you can at least go out with your close ones or walk through the streets and view. So we're having a window decorating contest, a building decorating contest. And so there's a lot of stress on the chamber because we are on Main Street. So we have to up our game from what we've done in years past. I've had some retailers tell me, I've pointed out some ideas that I've had and they've all said, yeah, you can't do that. So we're calling in some friends that know how to decorate really well. And so we're going to do a contest and you could win $300 first prize. So Amy, let's get that corner spot going down by you decorated, okay?
Yeah,
and
by my
Citizen State Bank could win too. So let's get Tom hanging some garland or some lights or something.
We'll get on that. I'd like to see him do that.
Very good. And if you have little ones, we'll do the Find Santa program. We are doing a light up drive-through. So on November 27th, the day after Thanksgiving, we will light up Lakefront Park and all of Hudson will be lit up, and we hope to have Santa. We know he's very busy, but we hope to have him there waving and so forth. And then the lights in the park, Buena Vista, a stroll in the park. Again, thank you to Xcel Energy for being a sponsor of that. I thought Xcel Energy, lights, power, why wouldn't you want to support that, right? But we're excited, we're making it. How many of you saw the park last year? All right. We're gonna not want to miss it this year. So we are adding more lights, we're adding some other pieces to it. So come and check that out, and that'll be up from the 27th through the Hot Air Fair weekend. And then Small Business Saturday is November 28th. Now more than ever, we really want to encourage folks to shop local. We know how easy it is to go online and and go to that company that we all won't mention the name, but a lot of our businesses are offering online services, private shopping groups. You can shop one-on-one. So just to support local as much as we can to support the small businesses. So any questions on any of those events? All right, if you have ideas on how to help us decorate our windows, I know. I was up in the storage unit yesterday pulling some things out, and I showed it to one of the board members. I said, Angel, what about this star for our window? She said, yeah, that could go in the dumpster. So, so now I feel the pressure, but it'll be fun. So we are so thrilled to have Connie Foster, who is the 19th Chancellor of the UW River Falls, returning to campus in an interim role starting in July 1st of 2020. So I'm anxious to hear how that start went for you just in the middle of a pandemic. That's an interesting time to join an organization. But you were previously at UW River Falls and served as professor of health and human performance, gymnastics coach, and women's athletic director, eventually becoming overall athletic director and chair of the health and human performance department. She also held roles of the dean of College of Education and Professional Studies, and interim provost and vice chancellor for academic affairs. And you served as interim chancellor twice before, right? So for 10 months following the departure of Chancellor Don Betts, and then prior to Dean Van Allen joining as chancellor. So when you did leave UW River Falls for a short period in 2009, she founded a facilitation and consulting business where her primary work was focused on strategic and academic planning at institutions of higher education. And so she helped do some focus groups and work with UW River Falls as they were putting together their new strategic plan process. Originally from California, that kind of sounds good right now when it was snowing in October, but you earned your bachelor's degree in psychology from California State University, Long Beach, and her master's degree in sports psychology at the University of Southern California, and earned her PhD in sports psychology at the University of Minnesota. So welcome, Dr. Foster. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Well, thank you. Thank you, Mary Claire, for that wonderful introduction. Probably much more information than anyone needed, but it's really nice to be here. I appreciate you inviting me. And also we have Maria Anken and Leanne Van Allen on this call, and so, which is great, from UWRF. And so Marina, I was going to talk a little bit about Hudson Center, and maybe you could jump in on that. And Leanne, I was going to talk a little bit about St. Croix Valley Innovation Center, and if you could jump in on that piece as well. You guys have the expertise in those areas. So here's a lovely shot of our campus. And I know that just about everybody here is very familiar with it. So it's great to see so many Falcons. Our next slide, here's what I want to talk about today, but we're definitely open for questions. We're a smaller group, so feel free to jump in. Just some kind of quick facts, more on the COVID, our response to the pandemic, information on some economic development, our connections with Hudson, some innovative partnerships, and then Marina can also help jump in on this one. Our update on our new strategic plan, which was started over about a year and a half ago, and was finishing up last March when COVID hit, and we had to put it on hold. So we're getting that up and running again. So with that, let's see. So yeah, we've already, Chancellor search timeline. So you know, the university and the Board of Regents will be searching for a new chancellor, a permanent chancellor, and that will start in January. So I'm guessing we could have the new chancellor on board by June 1st or July 1st would be reasonable. So I think people are pretty excited about that. Keep going, Beth, that's great. Who are our students? So our enrollment's about 5,774 for this fall, which is actually pretty good. We were expecting a slight drop in enrollment before COVID, and we just maintained that. We didn't seem to lose much more enrollment numbers due to COVID. And we've actually seen that play out across the UW system, that schools have held pretty steady on enrollment during COVID, which was a surprise. So what is the composition of our students? Well, 40% are first generation. And maybe some of you who are Falcons were also first generation. 52% of our new freshmen are out of state, with about 50% of them being from Minnesota. So we do attract a large number of Minnesota students. About 60% female, 40% male. We've been at this number for quite a while, and this is typical across the US. We're a heavily undergraduate institution, 93% with about 7% graduate, although we really see our growth coming in that graduate area, and also undergraduate non-traditional students, or like some of you all that have graduated from River Falls but may want to come back for an advanced degree or perhaps a certification or some type of credential, which is something that we are looking into. We're about 8 to 10% students of color, and that is a number we would really like to grow. Our hope is to do more recruiting out of the metropolitan area, the diverse area of Minneapolis, St. Paul, and help expand our diversity. We have the 4 colleges. I think you're familiar with our arts and sciences and all the wonderful programs there. Our College of Business and Economics is an exceptionally strong program in entrepreneurship and innovation. And we have Marina here. She might talk a little bit more about that. Our College of Ag, Food and Environmental Science. I love this cow picture.
That's a great photo.
There's one of our outstanding teacher of the year, Professor Kurt Vogel, you know, of him like kind of kissing the cow like a lie. I know, or no, it's the cow licking his face. That was it.
Oh, that's funny.
But it's really cute. So of course we are an exceptionally strong agricultural school, and particularly in the dairy industry. And then at College of Education and Professional Studies, we're well known for our teacher education programs, especially elementary education. Early childhood and Montessori are some of our strongest. So the 4 colleges, and then our largest majors. And as it turns out, there is one from each college. Animal science is one of our largest majors, business administration, biology, and elementary education. So when we had 2 regents on campus yesterday, and they kept going, what are your strong programs? What are your strengths? And this pretty much sums it up, a lot of it. Our strengths are in these areas with a lot of nuances to them. So new programs, we have added new programs in the last 5 years. We have a BS in data science, BS in agricultural engineering, BS in neuroscience, which is offered through the psychology department. I'd have to say that one has grown a lot, has had the BS in criminology, and the BS in biomedical and health sciences, and a master's in strength and conditioning. So we're excited about these new programs. College of Business and Economics is looking to offer some business analytics major, or at least a certificate, or to get that started as we move towards that predictive analytics world. The next slide. Oh, so Falcon First Destinations is looking at the placement of where do our students go once they leave River Falls. And we know from the demographics of the population listening to this presentation that a lot of you do find jobs. Most of you find jobs. 92% find jobs or go on to grad school. Now, they might not always be in the area that they graduated in, but 92% do find employment or go on to grad school. 88% stay in Wisconsin or Minnesota. So we do keep the students in this region. And this statistic that 55% completed at least one internship, practicum, or student teaching, I think that's good, but I would really like to see that go way up. I like all of our students to have internships, and I'd really like to partner with the businesses to make that happen. So Hudson Center News. Marina, would you jump in on this one?
Absolutely. So a number of our graduate programs and also our adult degree completion program were actually being taught out of the Hudson Center for the past 10 years or so. But we made the decision this year that with COVID, that was part of the reason, but also as we see opportunities for online education that to serve this region, that we would be closing down the Hudson Center, unfortunately. But we do see that there are a number of opportunities that this frees us to be able to do some other things as well, to reach even deeper and be a lot more convenient in how we offer our education. It seems that adult students especially are much more technologically savvy, and especially in the last 7 months, I think that is absolutely even more true than ever. And that they also have family obligations as well. One of the things that we're hearing in the last 7 months too is that people are working from home, but they are also having to take care of their children at home as well. And so being able to continue their education online seems to be a better fit in this modern age. So that is where we are transitioning at the moment. It's really sad. I have absolutely loved the Hudson Center, but it seems that with technology, a physical location is a little less important, especially with the adult segment.
Yeah, thank you, Marina. Yeah, well said. Yeah, just so you know, we're moving forward with those MBA programs. We're putting them online, but we're certainly keeping our programs going strong. So return to campus, our pandemic response. Well, changes made in mid-September. So like a lot of the UW schools, not all, but a lot, we saw a big spike so students came back very, what was that, second, third, where did they come back? Around the 4th of September. So they came back to school. 2.5 weeks later, we saw a big spike in our COVID-19 cases. We were testing on campus. We have a whole testing lab on campus over in Hagstead Hall. So we've been testing, and all of a sudden we saw this big jump in cases. So we had to kind of go into what we call a shelter in place or a holding pattern, move all of our courses online for 2 weeks, and just get those positivity rates to drop. It paid off for us. It did drop. We've been back open for 3 weeks now, and our positivity rate is, for a long time, was 1%. We've crept up to close to 2%, which is still quite low. Unfortunately, I'm sure you're all aware, we're seeing a very rampant rise in positivity cases in the state of Wisconsin. It's just really sad, and our area is unfortunately part of that. So I can talk a little bit more about that. But anyway, so in mid-September, we made some major changes. We had mandatory testing for all of our resident students. They have to get tested once every 2 weeks. We pushed them closer to once every 10 days. We're looking at spring once a week for that. It's just so important to find. So for a lot of, especially age group 18 to 30, they're asymptomatic. They're carrying it and they don't know they have it. And so that's why it's such an invisible disease in a lot of ways. So if we can make it visible, catch them, put them in isolation or quarantine, then we can really see that positivity drop. And that's what we did see, having done that. So we have contact tracers. If you test positive, you go right into what's called intake. So someone talks to you right away. They tell you what's going to happen, what you need to do. And then from there, you talk to a disease investigator, which we have. And they kind of get more information about you and also talk to you, let you know what to expect. And then we go into case management, where you're quarantine and isolation contacts. They keep contact of you the whole time you're in quarantine and isolation. And they also want to know who you've been hanging around with, so we can have them go in and get tested. This was really focused to our on-campus students, but in the last few weeks, we've made a very strong effort to reach our off-campus students. We cannot make it mandatory for them because they live in the county, in the community, like you all do. But they are coming in now. We're starting to see them come in a lot more, and we're happy for that. We did take Stratton Hall. If any of you lived in Stratton, unfortunately, we had students living there. We had to empty them out. This was not an easy thing. And clear that room so that we had isolation space when a student tests positive. And then our courses, I think we started the fall with more like 65% of our courses were face-to-face or hybrid. But now, after shelter in place, a number of courses moved back to online. So we have about 80% of our courses are online. I think almost all of our courses have an online option. So if you're a student who's very worried about COVID and you don't want to come into campus face-to-face, the vast majority of our courses say that's fine, you can do the online option. So we're really seeing the split in students, just like in the general population. Some students want, they just want to stay home, hunker down, and keep their courses online, and they're very worried about COVID. Others feel very isolated. They want to be on campus. They want as much face-to-face as they can get. So we have these extremes in what our students want. our students are, when they're on campus, they're wearing their masks, they're physical distancing. They're definitely abiding by the rules. We've really put a clamp on large, educating them about large groups. Don't do it. Stay away. Obviously, parties. I think when we moved to shelter in place, a lot of our students went, "Oh, I get it. We can't really do that. That's not going to work." So now for Thanksgiving, we're trying to encourage a lot of them to stay home, to stay here with us. Or if they go home, they need to get tested as soon as they get back. We want them to get tested before they leave campus. We're worried about Thanksgiving because when people get around their family and friends, we forget there's a virus and we forget our family and friends may be carrying it. And so we don't use our masks, we don't physical distance. The minute you get more to 6 to maybe 10 max people in your house, be very careful. Any group over 6 or 10, the number changes a little bit. It's just really a heads up. This is not being spread. You can go to Target or Walmart. You can probably go out to eat in a well-spaced area where the waiters and waitresses are wearing masks. But the minute you get in a group beyond 6 or 10 and you're not able to mask or physically distance, that is a heads up. So that's what public health is finding. You're not going to, so shelter in place isn't going to help us that much. It's the people that we hang with and then we move to a large group. So it's a different take on the pandemic in a way. Actually, Beth and I are becoming, and Marina too, all of us are becoming much more experts in COVID-19 than we ever planned or hoped to be, but we have learned a lot. Our students have responded well to the educational piece, and we hope to continue that with them. And actually, we're reaching out, we're getting more tests, and we'll be able to test the community in the next week or two. So we'll be able to help test community members free to just come in and get a test. So we're trying to stop the spread. Yeah.
Just a quick question. Are you able to test staff too, or is it just the students?
We haven't been able to. The state wouldn't let us. The money comes from the federal's CARES Act, and the state wouldn't let us use it to test our faculty and staff.
Okay.
So we've been having to go to our providers. But with this new testing, it's called Binex Now, this community testing, we can test our faculty and staff.
Very good. Thank you.
Yeah. Beth's been spearheading that movement for us, but I think we're looking at probably 2 weeks. We're not quite sure. We just found out Wednesday, really, that we were going to get these tests.
Yeah, we're not quite sure on the details of how to do it, but it's looking like we'll have more flexibility with these new tests that'll be delivered.
Great.
Yeah, for sure. So yeah, that's where we are with that. And the next slide is just our dashboard, and you can go online if you just put in UWRF COVID-19 dashboard will pop up. But the dashboard is actually a lot more complicated than this one. I said our dashboard needs to be less complicated. But, we do have the statistics geeks. So, but what I'm interested always in is the total number of tests. And as long as we're above 200, I feel pretty good. 168 we had last Friday. We like to stay between 2 and 250, maybe even a little bit more in the number of tests per day, because we're able to handle that many. Mm-hmm. So you can see the positivity rate down on the bottom, kind of jumped up on Friday, but overall it's been below 2%. It's looking good. We have seen, let's see, what's today? Yesterday we saw a jump. We had 8 positives, 5 on campus, 3 off. The day we had the 7 positives, those were 5 off campus. So we're trying to figure out if they're on or off campus, and usually it's roommates or a household or something like that, so that we can get a feel for how it's spreading. So we're in a good place. We're just watching it all the time, to be honest. We every day we review this, we talk about it, try to figure out what it looks like, where it started, what we can do. You can also go under UW system dashboard and look for all the institutions. It'll have a summary if you're just interested to see what it looks like across all the UW system schools. So yes, educating in unprecedented times. I like to say, we have classrooms that seat 50 that we can now only seat 11. So if you're an instructor, it's very hard to hold a face-to-face class. So remember when you were in school, you might have had a class you went every Monday, Wednesday, Friday, right? Well, now you would go Monday, a third of you, the other third would go Wednesday, and the other third would go Friday, and then you'd start again. So where you used to go face-to-face 3 times a week, you're now only going once a week face-to-face, because our classrooms aren't large enough to physically space and get those numbers in. So when the weather was warmer, you could see instructors kind of taking advantage of sitting outside. And then our classrooms, this bottom left, I mean, yeah, we moved all the desks out so no one would be tempted to crowd in. Changed all of our maximum occupancy numbers, dropped them. And in the top left is one of our self-driving tractors that a faculty member is trying to get a student, instructing a student in how it works, how to use it. So a lot of technology. It's almost impossible, not impossible. It's very difficult to teach our labs online. So we're trying to maintain our face-to-face in our laboratories, and it is a challenge. Some of the online labs work really good, like when they can zone in and show somebody a technical, skill right up close. But for the vast majority, we need those face-to-face labs, and we're trying to maintain those. In the next slide, we have, economic development and Hudson community. So we have very strong ties to Hudson, obviously. I'm a member of the Hudson or St. Croix Valley. It's now called YMCA of the North, I think. So I drive up to Hudson, 2 or 3 times a week to use the Y, or I did. Now I just try to get in there and go swimming. But I think a lot of us shop and eat in Hudson. Hudson to me is just kind of the same as River Falls in my mind. So we have had a large number of alumni from Hudson, over almost 2,000. Still in Hudson, 237 current students as of this fall. So Hudson is a large feeder system to us. And of course, our business employees partners, this is just a few of the individuals that we've worked, or businesses that we've worked closely with, had some kind of a strong connection with them. So you can see this list, and I'm sure this isn't exhaustive, but we do a lot of connecting with the Hudson area. The next slide, the dual academic credit programs. We grew this starting in River Falls. This is where high school students can pick up some courses and get both high school credit and college credit for them. So we've expanded this to Hudson, and this spring we've already got 45 students enrolled in Calculus 1 and Calc 2, and we have plans to do it for English next fall. And this is an area that is very popular now with the stronger high school students that know they want to go on to college and know what they need to pick up courses. And so we're looking to continue in those programs. Local business engagement. I mean, yeah, when we have career fairs, they're all online now, but certainly the Hudson businesses have been connected with that. But hiring our interns, participate in mock interviews, allow job shadowing, and host career treks. So we just have a lot of connections with the Hudson business community. The next slide shows us kind of career treks: learn, experience, connect. So our students go out with their our career counselors to say to Jet Pubs or Cardinal Health or wherever they want to go. These are some of the Hudson ones, or Uline, which is and they have kind of spend a number of hours there and connect with the people that work there. And I think for a lot of them, when they go into like even a quasi manufacturing firm, they realize, oh, I could be an accountant here. And a number of our accountants do get hired in these firms. So they kind of start to see themselves in this new world. Right, Maddie? Did that happen for you? Yeah, so you get that internship, or you get out there and you kind of say, hey, I could do this, or I like this, or this is what I want. So we do have those strong ties. The next slide, thank you, Beth. This is really interesting to me, and you saw it last year. Dean Van Galen has showed this slide, and I told Beth, I said, I just really like this because we're just very uniquely positioned to support Wisconsin's future. And if you look at the 2 parts of the state, on the far right, you see Milwaukee, and that area of large population. And the very far left, 4.5 hours away, well, 5.5 hours away from Milwaukee, is St. Croix County, Polk County, Pierce County, and you see Minneapolis, the Twin Cities of Minneapolis, which are 3.6 million people, and they're very vibrant cities, as we all know. They're tech savvy. They've got a lot of major Fortune 500 companies. They're feeding into as we grow, they grow too. So Woodbury today looks nothing like it did even 2 years ago, right? I mean, Woodbury's just blossomed. So that part of the state is growing, and combined with the growth that we're seeing here, this business the number of people moving across the border, the number of businesses moving across the border. I think we're really a net developer of talent from Minnesota, and a number of individuals want to live here because of our rural environment. So, which Hudson offers as well, obviously. So I think that we're just in a very unique position that the other UWs, I mean, Stout, certainly Eau Claire, they benefit, but not like we do. We're just so close to the border that the growth in the state is really here where we are. That is the growth in the state. And so I think it's important to share that. Leading into there, it is the population change. We're looking at a 41% growth just in St. Croix County. But again, you see Polk also growing, maybe not quite as fast, but certainly right in there. And the other one is way, way over here to the far right. And you can see some, unfortunately, a lot of Wisconsin is in that zero growth or declining growth. And for the dark blue, it's really a state problem because so many of those blue also are seeing no growth at all. And then their population is like 65 and over. So it's a really hard place to be. And those are areas where we reach out to for rural teacher education to help those areas as well. The next slide. Yes, there's the cow again. I know. with a jacket on this time. The Dairy Innovation Hub, year one. So this was a huge $8.8 million investment by the state to really expand and solidify our dairy to be the dairy state. So we have already used some of our money to hire faculty, positions, research positions, supplies, equipment, grants. So to really be a leader in this area. We're working with Wisconsin, Plateau, and also UW-Madison. So we're very excited about this and glad to get that kind of money pumped into the dairy business. We also have the dairy pilot plant renovation, which has started. And first of all, this project has to keep going through the Board of Regents and then the state for approval. And every time something happens, we have to kind of go through this bureaucratic loop, if you will. But it's up and running in terms of the construction. We hope to complete it by this spring. The next slide shows the number of, this was funded really $3 million raised in cash and kind contributions from industry partners. So you can see the number of the logos of the partners that have jumped in to help us renovate this dairy pilot plant. It's taken longer than we would have hoped to get it going, but it's moving forward and it's exciting for us. And we're very thankful that the $3 million was raised by industry partners. So that's been otherwise we wouldn't be doing it. We wouldn't have had the money to do it. So it's been great. Our SCITECH building. So some of you are probably aware of our SCITECH Innovation Building. We did get $2 million in design funds allocated in the state budget in 1921. The design process is on track. You can see a little bit of a rendering here on the right. If you see it connects over towards our lab science building, and then the front of it too, also that roundabout right here where the sign is. So if you're from the community, you could park in the lot right across the street by North Hall, come right into this door. And then this piece is called the Innovation Center. So we hope to have businesses there. Plan is to have businesses there, connecting with the sciences, biology, chemistry, physics, and psychology, right? We're very excited about it. Our science building, like the science buildings throughout the UW system, is just so outdated and just very, very outdated for how we do science in today's world. This would be a wonderful, amazing thing to happen to the community. So we did, we are on the list. We're on the 21-23 capital budget list. The UW system is asking for $1.2 billion in construction funds. I don't think we're going to get that much, but we're on the list, and that's where you want to be. We're 16th out of like 22, so we're not in the middle, but we'll start to move up, and hopefully we can take a big jump up as we move forward. So I just want to say we appreciate all the support that we've gotten from individuals and companies to really move this building forward. So thank you. Yeah, the next slide, the St. Croix Valley Business Innovation Center. Leanne, I just wanted to kind of put a plug in for this building, and I didn't know if everyone knew the services. Do you want to address that?
Yeah, absolutely. I'd be happy to. Thank you. So the St. Croix Valley Business Innovation Center opened in March of 2018 after many years of research and development to get it to that stage. The St. Croix Valley Business Innovation Center is located just north of River Falls, right off of 35, so kind of between Hudson and River Falls. We are thrilled to have this in the community. It's a partnership between the City of River Falls, the River Falls Economic Development Corporation. UWRF has been a founding partner, as well as Chippewa Valley Technical College. We provide management for the Innovation Center, and the Innovation Center is really intended to be a startup opportunity for organizations within the St. Croix Valley region. And we've seen some great successes coming out of it. It's been interesting, especially during COVID times. We're seeing more and more interest coming in from people who are working from home and saying, you know what, I can't do it anymore. I can't go into the office, but I need kind of that middle ground, if you will. So we provide private office space. We've got workstations available. There's co-working spaces, and then light industrial opportunities as well. We also have a whole second floor that is just in vanilla form, ready to build out for anybody that's interested in coming in. Marina and I both sit on the management committee for the St. Croix Valley Business Innovation Center. And it's really our goal to provide that outreach and that support again for the community. There's a full incubator program for businesses coming in. And one of the things that works really, really nicely with the Innovation Center is our commitment to innovation on campus, and certainly within the College of Business and Economics. So every year we host an innovation challenge, and last year's innovation challenge winner that went on to compete in the state competition and did very well, they actually utilized some space in the Innovation Center for a time as they're developing their products. So Didomi is that organization. They're focused on providing clean water supplies to countries in need, if you will. And they've got this wonderful product, a reusable water bottle, and proceeds get donated back to countries, again, in need to develop water supplies. So some exciting things that are offered and available through the Innovation Center.
Yeah, thanks, Leanne. It's a lovely building. If you just wanted to go check it out, even just the co-working space area, just a lot of opportunity there. So I wanted to make you aware of that. So the last thing I want to talk about is our strategic plan. I mentioned earlier at the start of the presentation that it had started. You can see here we had a big facilitation event over a year ago we had a lot of input and feedback into this environment. We started with the environmental scanning part. And I'm going to ask Marina to jump in a quick minute, but I wanted to show you the whole process. So Marina actually chaired the environmental scanning group. And at that time, before I was interim chancellor, I worked with Marina as an outside facilitator to lead the large group event. And also to work with the committee over the course of about 5 months. So this was very exciting for us. We'd had the last strategic plan for about 8 years, and it was time for a new one. And so it had 4 phases. The first was the environmental scanning, and then it would go to the strategic planning steering committee to then take that and make something of it, to decide what those themes would be. And then from there, it went to some what was called emerging themes working groups to kind of delve down and write what we meant by that. And then from there, it would go on to an authoring and metrics group to actually write the plan. So the next slide shows the number of participants that we engaged last year. We had over 1,000 people either responded to a survey, came to an open forum. We had over 100 students participate in a forum, 60 external partnerships, a number of employees that we interact with. We called all the high school superintendents and personally talked to them for quite a while about what the high school students needed, what we could offer. And so from there, we created, on the next slide, we came up with kind of 8 general themes that had to do with a culture of discovery, diversify, not just our financial model, but a lot of other aspects of us, but that was one of it. How to engage stakeholders, how to empower student success, questions about what will our student body look like now and moving into the future, how can we enhance our brand, image, visibility, and this whole holistic sustainability across campus, which refers to everything from building and ecological sustainability to social justice and how sustainable our relationships with each other. So a lot was here, and I'm going to let Marina. So what happened was, yes, well, let me finish and then I'll back up. So we got to, this went to another group, right? And this other group said, you know what, this is really all about discover, diversify, engage, succeed. Those should be our pillars. Let's move forward with those. And so that's where, and so we had these groups, these emergent themes working groups went in and went under each of those 4 themes and wrote what that meant to them. When they saw that word, what did that look like? What did that mean? So now we're pretty far down the road, and then it went to the authoring and metrics group, which both Beth and Marina are on, and they started to write, but then that was it. COVID hit, and it was like put on hold. We had done so much work. I said, we have to finish this. So we took it back to Marina's group on environmental scanning and said, would you guys take this, update it, and let's just pass it on. Let's finish this by January by moving it back through. So Marina, where are you guys on this process?
Well, interestingly enough, this afternoon, our group is meeting and we are actually compiling a report to you. So you had asked us, you had given us 2 charges. One of them is to look at Tommy Thompson's initiatives for the UW system and get our feedback on that. And the other charge that you had given us was what have we learned from COVID, from the pandemic era, and what would be carried forward. And we kept the conversation pretty much within our group. We had grabbed some other resources as well, but we had some really in-depth conversations among academic staff, among faculty, with me on board as well, and just really trying to flesh out what just happened. What in the world happened to us, and what has been the impact on us and our students, but also carrying that forward. What are the pieces that are emerging that we feel need to be taken, some of the opportunities we can carry forward, as well as some of the things that, looking back, maybe we could have done a little bit better. And so I think it will strengthen the strategic plan considerably. We're not really saying to change those 4 themes right there: discover, diversify, engage, and succeed, but there are some additional facets that we feel really need to be included in that.
Great. Thank you, Marina. So this was a good presentation for me with Marina here. I got an update because I had asked Marina, I said, can you finish this by the end of October? Because we need to move it on to the next group. So thank you. I appreciate that. So yeah, just thank you. We can take the PowerPoint off. Beth, thank you so much for running that. And open it up for, just questions, comments, feedback to where you see us going, what you'd like to see us do in our new strategic plan, what you think is important, especially since we have so many Falcons here.
Any questions from those alum?
If I could ask maybe some of the alums, what would be something that you would say, don't lose that, make sure you keep that. What was it that was a highlight for you that was helpful?
Well, my experience as an alum was probably a little bit different than many of you because I went and was part of the adult program. So I think just, I just had a great experience, whether my classes were at the Hudson Center or online or on campus. And I just loved that the ability to make connections with your professors and your, fellow students. So I thought that was great. And some hands-on things, you really got to get in and really try different things that you would experience using your degree out in the work world. So
Yeah, thank you, April.
thanks.
I guess I would, so I commuted because I grew up right on the edge of Hudson and River Falls. So I ended up commuting because I knew eventually I wanted to go to law school and had to kind of save some money there. But the big thing, and this might be more of a suggestion for the students right now, is I look back and I kind of go, well, it would have been nice just to stay in my bed and take classes online. But the importance, I think, that we're going to have to realize is that the interaction that we get in a classroom setting is very, very important, especially the dialogue that you have between faculty and other classmates. And so I think that's going to be important for every university, every higher learning institution, to really get back to the students and say, yes, we have this option. And for some of the classes, it makes a lot of sense to stay online, but we need to bring that sense of community back a little bit. And, like I said, it's very important in the educational system to have that interaction between students and faculty. So I don't know what that will look like in the next several years, but just something that, like I said, that's more of a suggestion for the students to make sure that they understand the importance of that.
Yes, thank you.
Can I interject there?
Yeah.
I think exactly the way you do, that there needs to be the interaction. And that is something that, at least in the College of Business and Economics, for our adult programs, our graduate program and the adult degree completion program, that we're emphasizing that the engagement with the student. And so a lot of times I think we think of online education of just, having videos up online, you watch the videos and so forth. That is not the model that we are pushing. We're pushing a synchronous online experience where the faculty and the students are all online at the same time. We actually are having discussions. We're also emphasizing that students are reaching out to the faculty and can actually use a Zoom session to talk through that project, or I need help on working this problem, or whatever it is. So we are absolutely emphasizing that engagement piece with the student. We feel that is so important. Also modeling what the future is going to be looking like for our students and our graduates. So we're doing this right now, okay? We're on a Zoom session right now, and we're still able to engage. Companies like Google and Microsoft are still coming out, and Apple are still coming out with new products, yet they are not at their headquarters. They're working from home and or another distant sort of work environments. And so if they can innovate, so can we. If they can engage, so can we. I think that is the model for the future, that it isn't as location-centric as it used to be. I think that the model for work will be much more dispersed in the future, where you'll have the core people who will be coming in, but they won't be coming in maybe every day, right? So because we have these kind of technologies that allow us to collaborate literally 24/7. And we have Microsoft Teams, for instance, in which we can be working on a project and see each other's progress on that project throughout the day. And the discussion happens throughout the day in the Teams environment. It's really interesting. And this is something that I've just learned since the COVID started too. So yeah, we absolutely need the engagement. Absolutely.
Yeah, and to piggyback a little bit off that too, with COVID, we've been seeing a huge opportunity to go nationwide with both companies and with universities. So I think the UWRF Falls is such an amazing school. We've got such an amazing faculty. The students that come out, I remember when I first went, I thought, well, River Falls, because I didn't know what great education you could find there. And so it's going to be a great opportunity for, I think, the footstep or the footprint of the UWRF fall system really expanding nationally, or
Yeah.
across more state lines.
Yeah, thank you. Anyone else?
Well, I would like to add to that as well. As many of you probably have experienced, when I go to a seminar or a webinar, maybe it used to be like a weekend-long seminar somewhere. I always got a lot of valuable information from the presenters. However, a lot of the learning that I really found valuable was taken after hours with my peers from those classrooms. And they were very informal, and they were just social conversations that led to a whole different, angle of learning. And I'm just wondering if UWRF could capitalize on after hours type of social situations, classroom situations, being that, especially now with everyone so private with their cell phone and email addresses, et cetera, students don't necessarily have access, I'm assuming, to their classroom classmates to make those conversations after hours happen. So I'm just wondering if there might be that next step beyond the classroom, which could offer an opportunity to them. And then also there's the technologies of, three-dimensional type social situations that would possibly engage students in a different way. Maybe it's more of a social event, but I don't know where that technology is at. But it sure seems like it might be a solution for some of those after hours extracurricular activities that take place now, to give them an opportunity to quote unquote meet in a more realistic, person-to-person feel. Just a thought.
Yeah, our students I was going to jump on that and say our students are really missing that face-to-face. When we had the 2 regions here yesterday, we invited 9 students, that's how many we could fit in the room, to come and talk to them. And the students got there and they were so excited to see each other. They didn't know each other, a lot of them. It wasn't that they were old friends, just another student, like a bunch of students, because a few of them were totally online and living at home or living in St. Paul. And they came in and there is that wanting to be together in a physical kind of way as well, that I think will always be important to all of us as humans, whatever it looks like. But yeah, it's, as you say, there's so much changing now and I think that's where, we are as an institution is, how COVID really did kind of shake our world. We're a residential face-to-face institution and we went all online in 2 weeks. So that is a huge change. And so we're really, working. What does that mean? As Melina says, what does that mean now? What does that look like going forward? What is, how do we now enter this new world and still maintain our strengths? So I just
I was just going to say, I can jump in as well a little bit on that and some of the observations that I've had this semester. So I am teaching or co-teaching our 3 sections of our first year experience course for our College of Business and Economics students. And it's been really interesting. And we've met synchronously. So the students are coming in, we've got large sections, but we're seeing high engagement from the students in all the sections. And immediately the students were using the chat feature and, different opportunities that we saw them engaging and sending Snapchat sign-ons and, ways that they could build these connections. So that's been really, really good to see that and know that we have some of these groups out there. And, it's been fun to see that engagement factor. And our student services has done, I think, a really good job of providing some of those, Andrea, to your point, those after hours opportunities and fun events for students to engage virtually if they can't be together. So, we hear you, and I'll say kudos to the university for really, thinking out of the box on ways that they can continue to engage students and make those students feel a part of the community as well.
I have one last question too. With Thanksgiving coming up, you had mentioned trying to encourage some of the students that live on campus to stay on campus if possible. Is there something that the community can do for those students to make because it's as a college student, you want to go home, you want to see your family, but is there something, especially during these times, that the community can do? Gift certificates to restaurants, or something that keeps them here but makes their time here better?
Yeah, that's great. I'm sure they'd love anything. I know. Yeah, they're always grateful for stuff. We are going to do a Thanksgiving Day dinner that day. We're working with maybe juniors in town, or St. Bridget's does do a Thanksgiving Day free meal, but I think we don't want to overpower them. We're trying to figure out, we're doing a survey in the next week or so to find out who's going to actually be here, so we know our numbers. And then we will try to do something. Most of them will go home. We're pushing the testing so that they get their test results back before they go home, to make that safer. But a lot will stay. So I appreciate your question. Yeah, they're always appreciative of anything. There's some, there are certain. We were talking today, Beth and I this morning. There's some students that have nowhere else to go, to be honest. They don't have anywhere else to go. They're here. They're with us. And so we have to watch out for them. And then we have a few, not many right now, but international students that we want to keep track of. Most of our international students, I think, are off campus right now. And we don't have the numbers we usually have, obviously. So we are kind of trying to figure out, as you say, what can we do for them during that time.
Well, if there's anything, that's a great question, Katie. If there's anything that we can do to assist, please let us know. We'd like to support them. I was one of those college students who was, I'll be honest, was very homesick at first. So I think, the thought of being there and so forth too. And I know the other issue that I've talked with Beth and others with, just as we wrap up, is transportation is a huge issue that we need to somehow figure out how we can move students and faculty around the community and down to Hudson to, if I didn't have a car at school, but you still want to, go shop and eat and so forth too. So that's a topic that the chamber is trying to work on, and we need you as partners to help us with that too. But that's a key component moving forward. Yeah,
that's a great topic, that transportation topic. Our students do like to go to Hudson.
Right.
As a matter of fact, I got an email from one during shelter in place. Is it all right if my roommate and I go to the Target in Hudson? they were in shelter in place. They were trying to figure out what they could do. But I said, yes, just be careful. So.
But we'll have the lights in the park lit up on that Friday after Thanksgiving, so they could, if we had transportation, but if we can figure that out, they can come down Saturday and Sunday to look at those.
Well, that's good to know. That's something they would love to do, I'm sure. So thank you.
Yeah, so Hudson will be all lit up, and be sure they'll want to check out the chamber window that Maddie and April they'll be tasked with that. Deal. I can do Swedish Christmas really well, but I don't think they want that on the window. So, all right. Any other questions for Dr. Foster this morning? All right.
I have a quick question. Mary Claire, this is a quick one. I know that UWRF received a grant for the SCITECH initiative. I think it was last year. And I was engaged in part of the conversation initially. What is the timeline now with this current COVID crisis going on? Has that all been pushed back?
I'm going to let Beth jump in on that one.
Yeah, hi, Andrea. So I think the timeline is still running on its own course. The state budget process, the capital planning piece, has its own sort of slow metabolism, and things are on track there. The $2 million that we got for the planning component is being used effectively. BWBR is the architecture firm that's doing the initial design. So the rendering that Connie showed is, part of their work, and they're on schedule to get that wrapped up. We hope to have another meeting of the advisory group that I know you've been part of here sometime in the next few months. I think what we're waiting for right now is to just see how the elections play out, to know who is going to be reviewing the state budget requests come January, and know kind of how to further those conversations, because that's the next thing that it's really going to come down to, is that advocacy piece. So more to come on that. But from the state standpoint, everything is on track. It's hard to say whether we will get the full capital funding in this next biennium. It's more unlikely than it is likely, but we can always hope, right?
Right. And I'm just going to say, now with the current situation and businesses and education and everybody so reliant on technology, what a great time to be advocating for that.
Yeah.
Right?
Exactly.
So
yeah. We've got some new talking points.
Yeah. I look forward to the future of that. Thank you.
Great. All right. Anything else? All right. Thank you so much, Dr. Foster. We are thrilled to have you here, and so glad to have so many. UW River Falls is just a huge partner with the Hudson Chamber and the St. Croix Valley. You are a key, like I said, partner with us. We greatly appreciate the time that you give to Dr. Unken and Leanne and others and Beth to work with us. So thank you.
Thank you all. Nice to meet you all.
Yes, so we want to thank Excel Energy for sponsoring today, and Maddie has a winner of the fabulous UW River Falls swag bucket. So who is the winner, Maddie?
It is Maria this morning.
Oh,
congratulations.
Thank you. I'm so excited. I never win anything, so this is really exciting.
Well, you just let us know if you'd like us to drop it off or pick it up, whatever's easiest for you.
You know, I have to run out and do some errands just now, so I'll swing down to the office shortly.
Great, and then I invite you to go to St. Croix Baking Company too.
Yeah, I will do that. See, it all works out. So thank you very much.
All right. Well, thank you all very much for participating today. We look forward to seeing you at our next Simply Connect in November. If there's anything that the Chamber can do to help you and your business and your teams, please reach out to us. We are here to support you. So again, thank you, UW River Falls. We're thrilled to have you here. Have a good afternoon.